And here we are in beautiful Rome. And these are one of the tips that I want to give you, things to do when you visit the Colosseum. Most people that come to the Colosseum, they go and they buy their tickets, they go inside and they walk around. Maybe they have a tour guide and they get a little information. What I'm telling you to do when you're here is you want to do the underground Colosseum tour. They'll take you down where the gladiators were, where everything went on behind the scenes, and show you that area. We're going to do it again. This will be my second time doing it because it's just absolutely fascinating. So when you come here, don't just take the regular tour, take the underground. My first tip is that most all of the major tour operators have the same meeting place, which is directly across the street from the Colosseum. Something you definitely need to know. Since the Colosseum is round, that really does not make a whole lot of sense. So if you look at it, you'll see that about 3/4 of the very top of the Colosseum is missing. The meeting place is across the street from where the Colosseum still has the top. So that'll kind of narrow it down for you a little bit. But to be more specific, it is where the metro station is. It's called the Colosseum B, like Bravo, stop. You'll meet up at the top and find your guide there. Plus, you'll see all the other guides and people that are waiting once you get up there. If you're there really early and you want to have something to eat, there's a restaurant, several restaurants that are right close by. So another great thing about doing these dark Rome underground tours is there's only 6 people in our group, so you get personal attention. You're not like in a cattle call with others. You want an early tour for 2 reasons. If it is the summer, you want to beat the intense heat, and most importantly, you want to beat the crowds. After meeting with your guide, he or she will take you down the walkway by the metro station, walk you across the street, and stop near the main entrance and give you an idea of what you're going to see and some of the history of this amazing place. After that, you'll enter in the main public entrance and then start your journey down into the bowels of the Colosseum until you are at the underground. The Colosseum Underground tour includes a visit to the Colosseum Underground and a skip-the-line entry to the Colosseum, so you're not waiting behind the rest of the crowds. You also get to see the arena floor, the Roman Forum, and the Palatine Hill. We were able to learn all about the lives of the Roman gladiators and the purpose of the Colosseum, which I found quite interesting. Nearly 1900 years after gladiators readied themselves for combat backstage and walked through the tunnels to reach the arena, the Colosseum Underground tunnels are open to the public for guided tours. The Colosseum, Rome's most visited destination, is a must-see for any traveler. Step back in time and relive the past as you enter the Colosseum dungeons. The Colosseum Underground level gave us a fascinating view and stories and sights from the ancient Roman Empire. The Underground Colosseum tour commences through the entrance to the exclusive backstage of the arena. So we're now in the underground. This is basically the area where the gladiators came in from the tunnels. What I just showed you down there is where the river used to be leading into the Colosseum. The Hippogarium was a space beneath the Colosseum, meaning the underground, a 2-level below-ground network of tunnels and 32 animal enclosures. It included 80 vertical shafts that provided animals and their surroundings with immediate access to the arena. It's just amazing being down here where the gladiators once stood, standing in these halls where they once walked before they were shipped up to the Colosseum floor. The Colosseum Underground was where all the behind-the-scenes action took place during a show on the arena floor above. Hundreds of slaves toiled away for hours to transport props and animals from the basement chambers to the elevator. The animals would be let into the arena by trapdoors attached to the elevators, making the audience ecstatic, while those on the arena stage were kept feeling distressed. I have to say, for me, it was strange feeling standing in the exact spots where the gladiators stood.
waiting to go up to the arena floor and possibly face death at the hands of another gladiator or with one of the animals. As they stood below, blood literally seeped down through the arena floor to the staging area below, reminding them of what lay ahead. After we finished seeing all of the underground, we moved up to the actual arena. If you let your imagination run wild, like I always do, you can almost see the crowds packed in the stadium, cheering and screaming as the games commenced below them. Despite the fame of gladiator combat, the Colosseum hosted a variety of spectacles. Events beyond gladiator fights ranged from mock hunts of ferocious animals, public executions, and games to honor the deceased emperors.
Now we've come up from the underground, and this is the ground floor of the arena, which was covered with wood. The floor was covered with sand, so it would soak up all of the blood and urine and everything else from the animals. This is the original marble of the ground floor. It was all marble around there.
Our guide reminded us that gladiators did not die at rates portrayed in the modern media, and sometimes wealthy, influential Romans, they tested their skills in the Colosseum. Spectators also didn't need access to ancient version of StubHub or Ticketmaster to get premium access to the games and spectacles held in the Colosseum. We were told that a wooden ticket sufficed for people to enter. The guide said we could be sure that a ticket to the Colosseum was as sought after as many of today's major sporting events. Class hierarchies in Imperial Rome dictated where people sat in the Colosseum. The well-to-do had roughly 60% of the seating. On the other hand, the urban poor received about 20% of the seats to the rear. The other areas were reserved for notables, functionaries, and of course, the emperor's entourage.
So also included in your tour is Palatine Hill. This is just outside of the Colosseum. You have to hike up the hill. Actually, gorgeous hike. Palatine meaning palace.
I hope you enjoyed this quick tour of the Colosseum Underground. Much different than the regular tours that they used to give. You see definitely a lot more. And I'll say this video does not even come close to doing it justice. The tour company that we used was City Wonders. We've used them multiple times for the Vatican, all around Rome, and they do an excellent job. I would highly recommend them. I would like to thank you for watching Pat's Adventures, and again, I hope you got something out of these few tips that I was able to provide. So please take a moment to leave comments, and I love getting the feedback. Thank you very much, and take care.